Welcome to the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm Grant Wall, joined as always by Winona State head basketball coach Mike Leaf. And Coach, a tough weekend on the road last weekend leads to another difficult weekend with two more real quality opponents for you. Looking at your games last weekend against Wayne State and Augustana, in a vacuum, take away the final results, I don't think you could have asked for a more exciting weekend, not necessarily the results that you wanted, but certainly two very entertaining basketball games.
Yeah, I would say, as a spectator, it would have been a great weekend. And, the first game against Wayne, people don't realize that they've knocked off some tough teams in our league right now, and they're playing pretty well. They've got, they run a great offense, and they're stingy on defense. It's a really small gym to play in, and it's a tough atmosphere. But we, were fortunate enough to, at the end of the basketball game, it was Kellen Taylor. We ended up bringing the ball up the floor, made a couple passes, got it to Kellen, and actually he was out at the three-point line. And I remember Coach Brown being next to me, and he's yelling, "Shoot it!" Because it was, it's down to the wire. Yeah. And he took another dribble. And, our thought process, I've always taught that, let's say there's 6 seconds on the clock, you have enough for 5 dribbles before you can get the ball off. And but he took that actually 2 dribbles to the middle by the elbow area there, free throw line, and took that shot. And about halfway there, the light goes on, and bang, he hit it home. So it was exciting, and that's one of those games where you go back to some of our past teams, and we've had a lot of games where we'd win by 20 and 30, and all of a sudden you get into the playoffs, and you get these close games, and you don't know how to handle them. So I think close games are great for you. Obviously, you want to get the victory, but they're good for you to get into yourself in a situation to win the game.
Let's go through these one at a time, and we'll get to the game against Augustana here in a minute. But you've talked about Kellen's shot already. Take us through what happened there the last 6 seconds. You get the ball, an inbound play, have 6 seconds to go the length of the court, game tied. Just take us through those final few ticks on the clock.
Well, we grabbed the ball out of bounds, and the scary thing was Ben Fisher had to throw it inbounds. And we've always said, let's take, you got to be in your mind counting 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. We had a timeout, but I think it's better than to let the defense set up to get the ball in transition. And Ben was kind of looking toward me, and I'm counting it off, and I've got an official by me. And so if in fact you need to call that timeout, we'll do so. But he made the pass inbounds, and the thing about it is that if we can, let's go the length of the floor. And we're dribbling the ball up the floor, and all of a sudden they come up with 2 people, and here you got Kellen on the right hand side. The pass is made, and that's where Kellen caught it. And I looked up at the clock, and we still had about 5 seconds left, but it's it's going to be quick. Yeah. And their defenders started coming out, and he just went right by him off his basically his right shoulder, and he went toward like I said, the elbow, and took that shot. And that light went off on that scoreboard or in the backdrop as the ball was in flight. It hadn't gone through yet. And it was like one of those things where as the ball went through, I immediately look at the official, and he's just throwing his hands down. It's good. And then, of course, the officials, they like to get out of the gym quick with a sprint.
They run.
But it was an exciting play. It was great work on those guys to get themselves open or get a guy open and make the shot.
And trust in a player who, he's not your number one offensive option if you're going down a list, but a great amount of trust by his teammates that here in this critical situation, here's another guy who can make a play.
You bet. And, their mindset is don't give it to Anthony Tucker. Their mindset is to take it away from your shooters. But Kellen is a good shooter. He really is. And actually shot the ball pretty well from 3, but his short jumpers are golden. And he just hasn't had the opportunity to do a whole lot of them, but he certainly nailed that one, and it was a big shot.
That's right. And then the next night, kind of the other thing happens to you against Augustana, holding a 3-point lead. They hit a shot at the buzzer, send it into overtime, then not able to prevail in that extra period. Do you feel like you kind of let one slip away that maybe you had?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, boy, that was a long bus ride coming home. It was that Sunday, the day after. I think thankfully I was able to watch a couple football games to take my mind off it. But, here was a situation where we played some good defense, got a couple great rebounds. We go to the free throw line and we make one of two. And then we do it a second time, one of two. And we've talked about it. It's no secret the last one was Ben Fisher, and he's like 80+%. Yep. 81, I think, percent shooter from the free throw line. He misses that second one. And after that, he made the first one. I was contemplating, to be honest, taking a timeout. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't want to do was he made the first one. He's in a flow, yep. Hits the second one. We'll get that 4-point lead. And we go through situations in practice. So if he was to miss, we should know what to do. So I decided not to make that timeout. He misses, they go down the other direction. And the thing about it, Grant, is that what bothers me, and this is what I talked to the team about, was we knew we can't give up a three. Mm-hmm. We'll always switch. Yep. But we in practices, when you play straight up defense and the ball is passed, you always kind of jump to the ball and back a step. And that's what happened when Cody Schilling made a pass to, it was number 24 in the corner, and that's what Ben did, versus staying out above that 3-point line and forcing Cody to go out that much farther. Mm-hmm. If he has to go out farther and catch it, he's not going to get a shot off, yep. Or it's going to be a 25-footer.
That's much harder of a...
You betcha. And that's what happened. And Ben's the first guy to admit it. Mm-hmm. So we had a lapse and mistake. But on the flip side, too, is Ben played great defense. Yep. He was fully extended, and Cody Schilling hit a tremendous shot under tremendous pressure at the buzzer to tie the game up. So I give him a lot of credit.
A great shot by a very, very good player.
Absolutely.
And certainly one player who stood out from your perspective this week has to be Clayton Vetty. 2 double-doubles, averages 20-plus points and 12.5 rebounds for the 2 games. Just a fantastic weekend out of Clayton.
Yes, he really did. And he's just getting more and more comfortable. He's making his shots. He's got a variety of shots. They were doubling on him early against Augie, and he was dishing it out, and we were hitting shots from the perimeter. So he's making some great decisions. And but the big thing for us is like you say, the double-double is the rebounding. I told Clayton, you own the paint. This is you're the man inside. You have to dominate in there, and he's certainly done it in practice, and it carried over through the weekend. So we hope for that to continue through our upcoming games.
Absolutely, and 2 more solid opponents that we'll talk about here in a few moments this weekend in Minnesota State and Southwest Minnesota State. We will be right back here on the Mike Leaf Show. Zander Culver is going to sit down with Matt Prink, talk a little bit with the sophomore guard about how this season's going. We'll be right back.
Looking for great off-campus housing? Great River Management and Sales has a large selection of houses and apartments representing many of Winona's property owners. Owners and renters rely on Great River Management. Stop by the Great River Boat at Main and Broadway and see what we can do for you.
Tune in to KQAL 89.5 FM for all football, men's and women's basketball games, home and away, or visit the Athletics website to listen live. The Warrior Weekly Review is on the air. Check KQAL 89.5 FM or the Athletics website under the Multimedia tab. Hear from Winona State coaches and catch up on all Warrior action.
Power, intensity, courage, teamwork. Reaching back for more, knowing you're a champion. That's our purple. Winona State Athletics. Find your...
He's drilled high and deep, right field, way back. Ball is gone.
Mike Leaf Show. I'm now joined by Zander Culver, Warrior point guard, and Zander, you're now in your sophomore year, coming off that freshman year, gaining a little better knowledge. How do you think you've come along as a Winona State Warrior?
I think I've come along pretty well. You know, the main thing that I've learned from my freshman year, and the biggest difference from my freshman year to my sophomore year, is I think the strength. You know, coming in last year, I wasn't the strongest player, but over the summer I really hit the weight room and also did a lot of work on my ball handling and shooting. So I just think overall as a player, I got better and got bigger and stronger, which I think is real important.
Yeah, certainly. It's never easy to make that transition, but it seems like you're that spark off the bench that a lot of guys aren't expecting. Someone that comes in, you're very quick, and certainly we talked a little bit about that runner that you got in the lane. Have you always been that true point guard, that guy who gets into the lane, kind of the creator?
I actually, coming here that's the transition I had to make, because in high school I was more just a shooter, because actually our point guard is playing at Indiana right now. So as far as bringing the ball up the floor, that was his job. I was just supposed to spot up and make the shot when he passed it to me. So the summer before I came, I really had to work on my ball handling and work on becoming a better point guard. And so I've made that transition well, and I think that I just got to keep working on that.
You guys have had a lot of ups and downs this year. Certainly, no one ever saw these 4 losses, but it's a tough NSIC. It's getting more and more competitive. What are these close wins? Looking back at St. Cloud, a thriller up there. Obviously, Anthony Tucker's half-court shot. What do these close games do for the team in the long run?
I mean, well, for one, it just gives us a lot of confidence. And if we're beating some of the best teams in the league, St. Cloud and Southwest, going into those games, we know that they're going to be close games. And I just think that it gives us a lot of confidence being able to beat those teams, whether it be by 30 points or whether it be by a buzzer beater. The old saying, a win is a win. So, we'll take them any way that we can get them.
Yeah, you had a great quote, and you said, a setback is, kind of a setup for a comeback. And, a great win on Friday night, Kellen Taylor hitting down that buzzer beater. And then, obviously, losing to Augustana, that was a tough one. How do you guys prepare after splitting this past weekend for a pretty big weekend as you continue on your road trip with Mankato and Southwest?
We just got to prepare like we've been preparing. You can't overreact, to a loss. Yeah, we lost, and people are going to be emotional, but you just got to keep on doing what you've been doing. Just try to do it better, and you just got to execute, the next week. The thing about basketball is you lose, and, in a game, in a week, you got another game. So we haven't really done much differently. We just prepare differently for different teams. For Mankato, we have to prepare for, Marcus Hill, a smaller and quicker point guard, as opposed to maybe St. Cloud, who has a bigger point guard than Taylor Witt. So just with different teams, you have different scouting reports. So as far as doing what we do, we've been doing the same things, but preparing for different teams, you have to prepare for every team differently.
Well, let's get to know Zander Culver a little better. The man that not on the court. Zander, what do you have any pregame rituals? I know, we'll talk a little bit about the face mask after you broke your nose. But is there anything you like to do before a game or on game day?
Usually before a game, just shower before the game, come in, put some music on, get ready, and then my music usually gets me real hyped up, heart beating fast, and so to calm myself down, I usually read a book to kind of, just calm my nerves and, get my head right. Just make sure that, just out there being able to play with a lot of energy and under control. So.
Okay, you broke your nose early in the season, courtesy of a Joel Armstrong elbow.
Yes, sir.
You had the awkward one at first,
yeah,
which we talked a little bit about when you broke your nose, but now you have that fitted one, much like Rip Hamilton. Is that something that you've gotten more comfortable with? Is that maybe kind of a good luck charm for you?
I've definitely got a lot more comfortable with it, and yeah, I guess it could be a good luck charm. I'd love to be able to shoot like Rip Hamilton, but I think it's more of a fear factor. I just don't want to go through the process of getting my nose reset again, so I wear that thing because I don't want to get elbowed again.
What your style of game? You're a quick point guard. You make things happen. What NBA player would you maybe compare yourself to?
When I think about it, I like to compare myself, or at least try to pattern my game after DJ Augustine. I'm a huge University of Texas fan, and just watching him, he's not the most athletic person in the world. He's not going to wow you with, dunks or nothing like that. But, just a good point guard who will shoot the ball, get in the lane, finish when he can. And I just really I really look at him for, some different moves and, ways to become a better player.
I know you're from Champaign, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Big Bears fan.
Yes,
We got to ask you the question. A tough loss this past weekend with the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Viking fan, but what did you think maybe about the Jay Cutler situation?
Sometimes you got to tough it out. Sometimes you can't. I think I'd rather have him for next year than for him to try to play on whatever the injury was. I know if it was a knee injury, you don't want to risk that, and then his career is over. So, hopefully next year we won't have to put our third-string quarterback in there in the NFC Championship game.
All right, well, thank you, Zander, for joining me.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck this weekend against Mankato and Southwest. Hopefully we'll come back with 2 wins.
Yes, sir.
Coming up next on the Mike Leaf Show, Grant Wall will rejoin me. We'll talk a little bit about this past weekend split and preview the big weekend coming up in Mankato and in March.
Well, the Warrior Club provides a basis for our scholarship foundation.
And our goal is to try to generate a minimum of $125,000 to support the efforts of Winona State University coaches in the recruitment of outstanding students.
We're just like the general student population that as tuition increases, we need to continue to raise the number of dollars that the tuition goes up.
And when you think about the responsibility that the Warrior Club has in contributing to the overall success of Warrior athletics, it's really a tremendous responsibility of all the volunteers that we have involved with the program.
Well, there's several different ways to become a member. The easiest way is to go out to WinonaStateWarriors.com. There's a Warrior Club link. You click on that link, and then there's a Becoming a Member icon. You can just click on that. It'll bring you to the Foundation's website. It's 2-3 clicks, that's all it takes. You can also donate some time, which is greatly appreciated. We have the 4 different big events that happens.
And we kind of started off with the membership drive that goes on in the spring, starting in April and going onward. This summer we have the Warrior Club Golf Classic sponsored by Merchants Bank and RTP. And then traditionally in the fall we have the sports auction, which is here on campus. And then we kind of close the calendar year up with the Lewiston Auto Holiday Basketball Tournament.
It's fun to be a part of because it is part of a team, and you become part of a member. You get to know other people around town and other alumni and friends that all support a good common cause in Warrior athletics.
Each member hopefully feels a part of the total program and the successes that the coaches and student athletes have demonstrated, not only in the past, but those basic things that will hopefully continue to grow in the future.
You can look at the success of the Warrior athletics, and you can definitely draw a linear correlation between the growth that the Warrior Club has had, and the funding that they've provided to the athletic department. It's been pretty cool.
WSU and HBC present Show Us Your Duck. Show your duck at participating businesses and get all kinds of discounts. And you keep the duck to use all year. Visit my.hbci.com/duck for discounts and details.
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. Grant Wall joined by Matt Prink. And Matt, 2 very, very crucial games upcoming for the Warriors at Minnesota State on Friday and then at Southwest Minnesota State on Saturday. The last 2 games in a 4-game road trip that we talked about last week are really going to define this Warrior season.
Well, we talked about this, last week, this week. 7 of your last 11 on the road in the NSIC is not easy at all. You come off the split against Wayne State out in Augustana, a long road trip. You lose the heartbreaker, but you have to recollect yourself. You have to get ready. And we head out there Thursday just to try and get in sync and try and get used to the arena that you play there. We talked with Zander a little bit that depth perception. I think a lot of teams are thrown off, and a Mankato team that's 10-0 at home. Certainly, Winona State is going to have to bring all their guns to town.
Has your heart stopped pounding after those 2 games that went down to the wire?
My hair's definitely, it's blonde, but I think I have a few more grays.
Twinge of gray in there?
I mean, just thrilling basketball games. And, you know, I'd like to argue with anybody, D1 to D2, watching NSIC basketball is just awesome. I mean, I get, you know, especially courtside, and what a great place to play. You know, Augustana, a very nice venue. Wayne State, the crowd's right on top of you, and you know, 2 of the best games I've seen in the NSIC here in, you know, my brief stint. But certainly, yeah, gray hairs, but just great basketball.
Yeah, great atmospheres, great teams. The quality of ball that's being played in the NSIC right now is absolutely fantastic. Minnesota State is atop the conference, but there are, as we start getting into that postseason picture, the top 4 teams in the conference hosting home games in the first round of the conference tournament. There are probably 8-9 teams that are still in the mix to be one of those 4 that hosts. So there are a lot of things to be played for in these last 9 games of the season.
Well, I think you look at, you know, you hate to look at and compare schedules, but Mankato has yet to play St. Cloud again. I know that's at home, but St. Cloud, a very you know, late season team that does very well. They also still have to play Mary. And, you know, there are these games, or no, they lost to Mary. They have to play Augustana at Augustana, so certainly that won't be an easy matchup for them. But, you know, going down the stretch, you're in control of your own destiny. You have to stay in contention. And, you know, a lot of people at the beginning of the season, you know, is this a national championship caliber team? How many wins, how many losses can get you a conference win? And I think, you know, 4 losses, pardon me, I think that's the bar. You lose more than 4 games, you start to slide down there in the rankings.
Yep, and the Warriors are still very much in that hunt, just 2 games back. And as we look towards this weekend, 2 revenge games, one the Warriors trying to exact a measure of revenge against Minnesota State, and then Saturday night Southwest obviously would like one back from the Warriors that they had won until the heroics of Anthony Tucker. 2 big games here for the Warriors that emotions will be running high on both sides.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, playing in Mankato, their crowd likes to get into it just like Augustana. You know, Southwest out to avenge that loss from the half-court shot. And I think this Winona State team will be ready. You know, certainly it was a quiet bus ride home on Saturday night after that tough loss. But I think these games, these close games, will only make this team better in the long run. A lot of teams haven't had, you know, 4 buzzer beaters or lost on a buzzer beater this season. And I think you look at, you know, their ability to finish, it will get better. They will make their free throws. They've been working on that hard in practice. And certainly I think that the best is yet to come from this Warrior basketball team.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Matt. We'll be back one last time with Coach Leaf here on The Mike Leaf Show.
Your health is what matters most.
That's why we offer hundreds of organic and heart-healthy foods.
Expertise in disease management and over 100 in-store dietitians. We'll customize a diet and exercise program for you and your family. We're your personal health team, here to keep you healthy and happy.
Fear of financial endeavors causing putting off till the day after tomorrow that which should have been done the day before yesterday.
If you have financial startophobia, I would recommend Merchants Bank. I had a little touch of financial startophobia, had a good recommendation, and went to the bank and had a great experience. Merchants Bank has personal service. I'm not afraid of anything. They've been around for over 130 years. You know who you're dealing with. Merchants Bank, the bank that services.
For the best cars, best prices, and best people, get your hoops on the sunny side of Highway 61, Sugarloaf, Ford, Lincoln, Mercury. And speaking of hoops, 3 lucky fans will be drawn in the second half of each game for a chance at a half-court shot, the last home game to win a brand new 2011 Ford Focus.
Back on the Mike Leaf Show on the Warrior Sports Network. And, Coach, let's jump right into Friday's game against Minnesota State. The Mavericks lead the NSIC. They have a 2-game advantage over your team, and they already have 1 win head-to-head over you this season, a December loss that I'm sure that you're itching to get back. We know the company line that every game is as important as the next one, and that's just as important as the next one. But you have to feel especially pumped up for a game like this.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we've had a nice rivalry with Mankato over the past few years, and you know, they're very well coached. They're very talented. But I'm looking forward to the game, and you know, it's nice to go out there and I think it's Bresnan Arena. It's a great place to play. But our guys are looking forward to it, and like you said, we've lost to them earlier this year, and we want to get after it, and you know, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Jefferson Mason is playing just about as well as any guy in the league is playing this year. How do you slow down a player like that?
Well, you got to. He's scoring, and we got to keep him off the boards big time because he can leap out of the gym, and we're going to match up well with him, I think, and you know, we know we've got to force him to. Oh boy, we got to contain him, and we got to force him, keep him off the boards. And you know, I think another thing too is that you know, we want to push the ball up and down the floor a little bit and maybe wear him out, utilize our bench. So, but you know, he's a very talented player. Used to watch him in high school way back in the day, and you know, he's a great threat. So we've got to do a good job on him.
And another team who's out for some revenge is definitely Southwest Minnesota State. You were able to beat them on Anthony Tucker's epic half-court three-point shot this season. I know that, you know, roles will be reversed. They'll be gunning for you to try to get one that they maybe feel that they let slip away. How do you combat that?
I tell you, in Southwest, I've said this to our players, they're the best rebounding team in our conference.
Very physical.
They are hugely physical. They really go after it. And I think, you know, one of the things that I told our players the other day after losing to Augustana was, you know, one of the things we have to do, and great teams have to do, is you got to win on the road. Definitely win at home. Yep. But winning on the road is that concentration and that mentality that the court's the same size, and it doesn't matter where you're at, you're focused on the game and the players and what we need to do. And a team like Mankato, you know, 2 games ahead, they have basically, you know, they want to keep that lead, et cetera, and everybody's gunning for them. You know, you're in that position, and sometimes you can falter with someone like Southwest. You know, they're a team that's very talented. They want to get in the hunt. You know, we're in second place, tied with couple other teams, but Southwest is right in the thick of things. And with Southwest, they're playing at home. They got a Hawaiian night going on. It's going to be a packed house. They want revenge because we beat them on a half-court shot. But we can't think about those things. What we have to think about is within that 94-foot by 50-foot court and doing those little things that we have to do for 40 minutes. And not have a couple lapses during the course of the game. May it be rebounding, playing solid defense, communication, all those things come into play. And having that poise on the floor, that's what makes and builds a champion. And I think we're getting close. We've got a great chemistry out there, and it's just a matter of that rotation, getting out there and building confidence and getting the job done. So this weekend is going to be a big weekend for us on seeing those things and how we've developed as a team that plays against great competition on the road.
It'll be a great weekend, finishing up this 4-game road trip, and then the following weekend, 2 games here at home in McCowan Gymnasium, and then the Saturday night game, of course, is the 2006 reunion, which will be a very, very special night. A lot of things being planned to make that one that everybody's going to remember.
A lot of fun.
Yep, a lot of fun. Some good things going on there. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of the Mike Leaf Show. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week.